Choffcast, yup, it's the Choffcast, Choffcast. How did I make that? The same way I make everything that's important to me with AI. That's the only thing you need to use now.
What do you do? Just type it in on like...
So I mean, not to totally give away my process, but basically I use like Midjourney for all of my image generation, and then I put it all in Kling because Kling is sweet. It's a good one. Why are we talking about this to start off the show? Jordan Zupke on the podcast, Skateboard Lawyer. Oh my gosh. I couldn't be more excited to have you here, Jordan. You're one of my favorite people on the planet. I hope you know that.
Honor and a privilege.
I don't know what to start with, skateboard or lawyer, because it's like you do both.
There would be no lawyer without skateboard.
There would be no lawyer without skateboarder. You're basically a pro skater, which is kind of messed up to think about, because like when I think of two things that are really opposite, I think of skateboarding, which is lawless, which is creative and artistic and anything you want it to be. And there's law, which is exactly this way, and there's nothing you can do about it. So you just have to adapt. Like, how do you make that crossover? And just like walk me through this.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Where
do we start? Let's start on a trip to Florida. I was 10 years old. I didn't know anything about myself or the world or anything at all, other than my parents took me to Florida, and we were in my cousin's neighborhood. And these boys had some skateboards and a ride-on rail. And that's where I found myself, was on that ride-on rail, because they were trying to like ride on to do the 50-50. Mm-hmm. And I was like, let me see your skateboard. And then I just instantly was able to ride on and do the 50-50. And I was like, I want to do this. And my birthday was coming up. I was like, Mom, I want a skateboard when I go home, and I want it now. And she took me to Pogo Skate Shop. Thank you, Anthony. Hooked me up. Got me a Santa Cruz Mini, which I still have. Greatest skateboard ever, because it was perfect for my small frame. And I was off. I probably put my 10,000 hours in on that skateboard, like on the first board.
On that day.
Yeah, I did 10,000 hours in one day. And like, that was it. I was off. Like, I had my trajectory in life. This is it. This is all I want to do. Don't want to play hockey. Don't want to do anything else. I want to skate. Skater wants to skate. I was a skateboarder from then on.
See, and I can totally relate as far as like the day I saw a skateboard for the first time, I think is the day I knew I wanted to be a skater. I knew I had to have it be part of my life. But in part of that, I think skateboarding, they always say, is a lifestyle, right? It's not a sport. It's not like going to football practice. It literally interweaves its way into every fabric of your being. So for me, being a skater growing up, I knew that whatever I did as an adult was going to have to be creative. It was going to have to be lawless. It was going to have to allow me to kind of move the pen however I wanted it to, which is kind of why I think I got into music and DJing and things like that. But like someone like you took that energy. It's like, how do you make that transition to something like law? And I'm not trying to simplify it, because I know it's a wildly complex topic.
Oh no, I can let you first. To get good at skating requires discipline. You can be one of those people that just wants to express yourself, and you just want to get out there and you want to like roll around and skate. But if you want to be like good, I looked at skating as a discipline. I was like, I'm going to do it until I can do whatever it is, whatever trick, like as many times as I could. I looked at it like a sport in a way, maybe even more so. I would dream about it. I remember like sleeping with this skateboard, that like a brand new setup. So yes, it becomes your lifestyle and everything. But I think to really get good at it, you have to look at it like a sport. You have to train, which is so weird to say train, and skateboarders are like very anti-train.
Yeah.
But if you look at the people who are like, I think the best in the business, they are very methodical about it. It is a discipline. It's something you have to do repetitively over and over and over. And in that is the structure. And then once you figure out your process and your style, then you can be creative with it and figure out, like, how am I going to express myself? Like, what type of skating do I want to do? And that, I think, is where it's very similar to the law, because the law is also requires a lot of time, a lot of discipline to get good at it. Like, you can't just walk into a courtroom day out of law school, pass the bar, and be like, oh, I'm going to go pick this jury and try this case and do a good job. No, you got to screw up the first 10 trials and lose those, and then be like, all right, why did I lose all of those? And how do I really get good at doing this? So I've looked at everything because of the Skateboarding Foundation. It all goes back to blood, sweat, and tears, earn your stripes, do it, do it, do it, and that's when you can become creative. So I think the lawlessness is really like, there is a creativity in it. And the like the punk rock attitude of the skateboarding world has helped me so much. And like, you don't have to look at every single thing the same way that everybody else did it before you, and you can kind of see it in your own. And that's like, I think what really opened my eyes to like, oh, you can do this and get good at it by doing it your way, after you kind of have the structure and foundation in place to understand like the process, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. I think my next question then would be, as far as like style goes, right? Because you mentioned like what kind of skating you want to do. Like, first of all, how do you classify your skating? Because you're kind of good at everything.
I'm a Jordan of all trades. I like to think of myself as a skater. Like, if you put a vert ramp in front of me, I'm going to skate it. If you put just a 3-stair in front of me, I'm going to skate it. If you put the flat ground, if you want to just ride around, I will skate anything. Like, I love skateboarding. I always wanted to skate it all. So I think of myself as just a really well-rounded skateboarder. I mean, I don't see like I want to skate, like, that's just it. I want to skate everything.
Yeah.
It feels weird to say, but
so
if you build it, I will skate it.
Is it like similar to law then? Like, do you think your style in skateboarding transfers to the way you handle the legal system? Like, will you take any case? Will you, you know, are you a lawyer's lawyer? Like, do you handle your cases in a similar fashion to the articulation you have for skateboarding?
I think so. There really isn't I mean, if I just look into my bag of cases right now, you would probably think, wow, there really isn't a case he wouldn't take. I represent the worst of society, and I represent regular Joe Schmo who drank too much at the bar one night and got a DUI. And then traffic tickets and all that stuff. But like, I like to think of myself, I'm a trial lawyer. I try cases. We're good at trying cases. That's my forte. And I think if you can try cases well and go into a courtroom and know your way around, then everything else in the legal process kind of becomes more simplified, because you're always looking at the case from the end and you're working backwards. Like, if I have to go to trial, what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? Which I guess you could argue is kind of like skating, because you're never really thinking about, at least the way I see it, if I'm riding around the skate park, I'm not thinking about the trick I'm doing. I'm thinking about the next wall or the next thing, or I'm already planning on doing the trick that's being done and moving forward. So I kind of look at it in a same type of way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question or didn't, but the question was, what was the question?
I don't know, but I liked your explanation.
We need a court reporter so we can say, Madam Court Reporter, can you please repeat what the question was?
The question was essentially, do you handle cases similar to how you handle skateboarding? Like, you're a skater's skater. Are you a lawyer's lawyer?
Yes, I think so. I would argue.
So. Yeah.
And I think the last 2 cases that we just won would back it. But
yeah,
time will tell.
Totally.
I've put a lot more time in on my skateboard, but I'm catching up.
Yeah.
It's been 11 years in May practicing law, and it will be 26 years of continuous skateboarding since I was 10.
Wow.
'Cause I'll be 36 in April.
Wow. 26 years.
26 years,
Non-stop.
never stop. I'm never one of those guys that used to skate. I always skated.
Yeah.
I will always skate. You can bolt a set of trucks to my casket and just kind of wheel me out.
Stop it. If you go before me, I'll make sure that happens.
Yeah, please. But like, this was his, and make sure they're an independent, probably like a 139. And I'm really into the Bones wheels right now.
Yeah.
The Dragons. You can put those on with some Super Swiss.
I'm into the yeah, I like Swiss too. Big Swiss guy. One of the things that is most admirable, obviously, you do a lot of great work in the law, but for me, being a skater, like I said, seeing the work you've put in for local skate parks, seeing you really put the pressure on the government here in Royal Oak to make an amazing skate park. Talk to me a little bit about A, why the world needs more skate parks, and B, what we can do about it as skaters in our communities.
I think we need more skate parks simply because I think every city should have a skate park. We have tennis courts that I find are often not even used, which is my whole argument to Royal Oak, is there's a batch of tennis courts right near my house that nobody's ever at. People just play with their dogs there because it's fenced in. But I promise you, if you build a skate park, they will come. The kids will be there. And new skaters will come. This is my pitch, Royal Oak, if you're listening. You already know. I've called you. I've written you thousands of times. I'll keep writing until it happens. But it's Royal Oak, if they want to consider themselves a world-class city, which I know they want to be. You need a skate park. Every city needs one because it's really one of the only outlets that teenagers, I think, really have. I mean, they play video games, they hang out inside.
Yeah.
It's what they want to do.
Yeah.
You go to the skate park after school, that's who's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bunch of people that never grew up and then kids who are growing up.
Something I noticed growing up too, there's a lot more skate parks even now than when I was growing up, especially I grew up in South Lyon, which is kind of a desert. We had there was some stuff that was like a half-hour away to skate, but in our town there was nothing, right? And because of that, you're forced to skate the banks, you're forced to skate the video store, the library, the courthouse. You're forced to skate all these spots that are like kind of, skateboarding is prohibited. And not to like take it super deep, but like I swear on kind of like a fundamental level, I felt like my programming in my brain still to this day is always telling me that I'm doing something wrong, because growing up, when I'd want to skate somewhere, you were always wrong. You were always getting yelled at. You're always getting chased out by even just like, normal people. Like, how many times I've been skateboarding on the side of the road and some dude in like an F-150 takes it upon himself to run me off the road because he doesn't think I should be there. So it's like, I think when you talk about how every city needs this, I think it boils down to literally a psychological level for how people are evolving, to where there's so many kids in every city, hundreds of kids in every city probably that skate. And if they don't have a place that they can do it safely, they're going to grow up and be like me and have this like weird mindset of like, I'm always doing something wrong. I mean, maybe that's a personal thing, but I'm sure, you grew up around skaters your whole life, and being a skater, you probably have a little bit of that too. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong there. And it's always fun to weave in the law when we can, right? For those who are listening, you have a fundamental right to travel, which means that you always should be able to move from one place to another. You don't have to call up the government and say, hey, I'm leaving my house. This isn't, North Korea.
Right.
We live in a free country. So skateboarding is a form of transportation. It gets you from one place to another. You should always be able to skate from one place to another. I really believe that. This is not, I'm not just saying that. It's something I think is important, because there are those who don't have licenses, and you will always have your skateboard. They can't take that away. So you need to be able to move. Skateboarding is great for that. But I think the guy that comes and says, hey, you shouldn't skate here, I don't usually believe they really understand what it is like you're trying to do.
Yeah.
There can be a destruction of property element when you get into the like grinding and things like that, but it's typically not the case. I think most of the times it's very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, just do you know the word I'm looking for? Where you're not causing
free flowing. I mean, you
No,
come in peace.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, peaceful. Most of the time it
Peaceful.
is peaceful.
Yeah.
It's just kids playing in the parking lot.
Yeah, and that's a fair point too. Like, obviously the destruction of property element, and I think a lot of laws kind of get rewritten around that element solely, right? Like, you got a guy that owns, whatever, big business in town. He's sick of these skaters coming there at 10 p.m. and scratching up all of his fresh paint on his rails and all of that. And then because of that, you get a city ordinance banning skateboarding, which means now when Sally wants to ride her skateboard to the library in her hometown, she's now breaking a law, right? I think that's a huge piece of it. So it's like, I think not only does a skate park give a place for people to safely do it, but I think even just having one in your town kind of sends the message that like, we're listening, like we're able to make this work. Like, it's not this forbidden thing. You're not passing out crack pipes because you're riding a skateboard. You're not like shooting people or hurting people because you're riding a skateboard, And I think kind of like just over time, as it's gotten pushed farther and farther away, it's easier to demonize. What would you say about that?
Well, then it certainly gives the city something to stand on when they say, hey, you can't skateboard here, but we built you this skate park. Go skate there.
Yeah.
Where if there's nothing around and you've got nowhere to go, obviously you're going to end up in the really great parking lot with the really super smooth cement because that's your only option. So I think you can't really criminalize people for not having a place to express themselves, which is also a fundamental right.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression. So you got to give a venue and a place, which I encourage anybody, if you want to try and get a skate park built in your little city, you got to go to the Parks and Rec board meetings or the city council meetings, and you have to advocate for it and tell them, like, we need this space. If I don't have this space, we have nowhere to go. Most young people don't have cars, so like their skateboard is their only mode of transportation. So maybe propose building it by the school or in the downtown or where everybody is already congregating so they can build a skate park. And there's plenty of resources out there. You can find those online.
Not only that, I think it's really important to mention you have to be persistent in this endeavor. This isn't a show up once and hope that they do it right. Anything when you're trying to work with a city, especially for something that, is millions of dollars of budgets have to get approved and land has to get approved and you have to find the right committees and the right construction companies and all these things. It requires someone to bear the torch for that, which I know you've been for Royal Oak.
5 years. We're going on 5 years. We still don't have our skate park, but I think we're close. We're one step closer. We're one push closer.
We're one push. Is it good that we have skateboarding in the Olympics?
Oh, hot take. Yes, I think it should be in. Because the discipline side of skateboarding will always be there, and it lends credibility. There's money. It enables places to really say, like, there's a value in this. It encourages cities to look at it and want to build parks. You don't have to be in the Olympics. You don't have to train for the Olympics. But I think that skateboarding should be on the world stage. It's like a missed opportunity because we think it could impact the core values and the super tight-knit, creative community that is in it. Like, I think the artistic side, the skateboarding, there's all this, like, push that it shouldn't be in there. I think it should be in there.
Yeah.
Because there should be those people that want to do it at a level that is like the kind of figure skating of skating. And I think that I think skateboarding has a very figure skating type of vibe to it. Snowboarding's already in the Olympics. It should be there.
Yeah.
Yes, skateboarding should be in the Olympics. And
Yeah.
if they invited me, I did right. I wanted to join the Israeli team and see, because they had no team. And I thought, you know what? If they're willing to send me, I'm willing to go. And I still, if anyone out there is listening, I will go skate for Team Israel, because I don't think I'm going to make America. It's too tough. I'm too old now. But I think that it should be in the Olympics.
It is kind of funny how Americans like dominate and that, not only from their own teams, but because like a lot of the foreign teams are American skaters, like Andy Mack's like on the UK team or whatever. So you could probably get on the Israeli team if you wanted to.
I'm willing. I am the president of the Jewish Bar Association of Michigan, so I have a very interesting background. They should take me with open arms.
And you were in Thrasher.
It hasn't come out yet.
Oh.
It hopefully will.
Okay.
But I was interviewed for Thrasher, which is good enough. If it never makes the article, I at least got the package. I have the sweatshirt and the hat. So, dreams come true, folks.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true. If you work hard, if you're disciplined.
Yeah, there we go. Got to be disciplined.
It's all about the discipline.
You're not going to do a kickflip day one, but eventually you'll lob one around.
I always tell people when my friends who are like in their, maybe 30s or 40s, and they say, oh, I'm thinking about starting to skate. I'm thinking, it looks fun. My buddy's longboard. I'm thinking about getting out there. I'm always super honest with them, and I'm like, don't. Like straight up, if you haven't started skating by 20, I say don't do it. Is that bad advice?
That's bad advice. But I would say you should skate, but you're probably like just not going to get that good at it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say don't is because I understand, even at my age, I just turned 30. I understand that anytime I step on a skateboard, I am potentially risking the end of my life. Like a pebble can ruin you.
But through the pebble ruining you comes tremendous growth.
But yes, and having been a skater for 20 years now, I see that. However, it's hard to explain that to someone that's over the age of 25 that's just stepping on the skateboard. Like, I've seen so many people get into skating late, skate for a couple of weeks, take one good fall, all those couple of weeks just wasted. They should have started pickleball or something. You should have just done something so that you didn't put in all that effort for nothing.
But a story. True story. So, in the heart of COVID, there was not, as we all know, a lot going on. Fortunately for me, the courts were all closed, so I got to go skate around Royal Oak all the time. Obviously, there's no skate park, but there was these two cement poles, and between the two cement poles was a chain that connected them. So there's a little trick you can do where you stand on the nose of your board and you make the board flip and it goes under the chain and you go over the chain. Right? And I did the flick, but I missed at the end and I caught both of my legs on the chain and just absolutely ruined my life.
I think I've seen this.
Totally ruined it. Done. And at that time, I was in the very early stages of dating my now wife, Ray Ray, and we were at her house, and I was just in tremendous pain, and I knew I was not going to, at that point, I would have said, I will never walk again, which was very dramatic. But I knew that it would be a long road to recovery, and she nursed me back to health. And I remember in that moment where she was like nursing me back to health, that I looked at her. I think it was even it may have even been my birthday. For my birthday, I think I served myself. But I remember I looked at her and I said, I love you. And I took all of those months that I couldn't skateboard, and I just spent it with Ray Ray. And there were definitely moments in that time that, like, okay, I started to just push again, and I couldn't, like, ollie because my body hurt too bad. And then eventually you kind of get back to the swing of things. And now, if you would ask me, I can only tell the story. I don't remember the pain and the suffering. But you probably will go down really hard and get served. At some point, it's inevitable. It's part of it. But if you're willing to get back up, whenever that may be, and do it all over again, you have learned a valuable lesson there. So the lesson is that, yes, you will get your ass kicked. We don't lie to people and tell them it's going to be easy. But if they keep doing it, that is, to me, what separates those who don't skate and those who do. How about that for an answer? Ding.
I would say drop your mic, but it's attached to the table, so I'd rather you not. That's fair. I mean, very good. I don't think you would be able to have that hindsight and clarity if you didn't have 30 years of skating behind you.
It might be true. But I think that, well, this is why we're here to tell people. It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
If you'd rather do something that's a little easier, I would say pickleball. But actually, somebody just told me recently that the number one injury, if it's not the world, the United States, and hopefully we're not on one of those podcasts where we just look up all the facts really quick, because that's super annoying. But I think it is pickleball injuries, because people play and they fall, and like there's more people playing pickleball. So I bet you that if you looked at the injuries relative to pickleball versus skateboarding, you would probably find that pickleball actually is higher.
Yeah.
So, but there may be more people playing pickleball. Those I don't know. But this ain't the Joe Rogan podcast where we look up everything, because we need to be very right and have every quote at our fingertips. We're just going to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
Fact check it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe there's more injuries in tennis. I don't know.
Yeah. It's the CHOFF cast, not the Joe Rogan podcast.
Exactly. I know. But that's what drives me. You know, you listen, someone sends me, they're like, you got to listen to this podcast, and then they're just fact checking the whole podcast. So, but take it for what it's worth. Next question.
I almost just want to let you keep going, dude. I could listen to you talk all day.
See, that's what I get paid to do. Honestly, I should be on the clock right now. What do you want to talk about?
If you had to defend one skater in court, who would you pick to defend?
I messaged Nyjah Houston when he got his skateboarding ticket that later became a board for disorderly conduct, and he never got back to me. So I would have liked to help him out, but I have helped other skateboarders who've gotten skateboard tickets. They shall remain nameless, but among them, their crimes: skateboarding on the sidewalk in Farmington Hills, case dismissed; jumping the fence at the Huntington Woods skate park, reduced to impeding traffic.
Ooh.
Actually, there were 2 defendants. I represented both of them. Skateboarding upon Hart Plaza, 1-day jury trial, 6 defendants, maybe 5. I don't know. All found guilty, but no offense to them. They were skateboarding upon Hart Plaza. But the defense was really good. One of them pled guilty before the trial, and then the other ones all went to trial. So the defense was that the only one that was skating was the one that pled guilty, and all of the other ones were just watching. Now, unfortunately, I learned a valuable lesson that when your client testifies, sometimes the jury won't believe them. And I think that's what happened in our case.
Yeah.
So, hey, you learned some tough lessons, but they didn't really, no one lost their liberty over that one.
Better to not testify, huh?
No, sometimes you have to,
Yeah.
but better if you can avoid it. So when it's obvious that you can't, then it's really easy. Like my last trial, my client, if he would have testified, it would have been against my advice.
Yeah.
And we won on the most serious count because he kept his mouth shut. But if he would have got on the stand, he would have been found guilty of everything. So in that case, very easy. But sometimes it just depends.
Yeah. I don't think I ever,
rules.
Maybe I have told you about this. I've definitely never told this story publicly, though, about the skateboarding ticket I got one time. So this was actually kind of crazy because I got like put through the ringer, right? So like I was saying, I grew up in this small town called South Lyon, and I would skate everywhere, like everywhere. I skated 3 miles to school, 3 miles home. I'd be like pushing in the road. All my friends would be like driving, honking their horn, like swerving their cars at me. And this one cop kind of had it out for me in town, right? He had kind of told me to stay off the roads. It's way smoother on the roads than it is on the sidewalk. So I was always skating in the roads. And one day we had this big hill outside of the South Lyon High School. Everyone knows that hill that's from there.
Dead man's
And
hill.
so what I'm doing is I got my one buddy in front of me, my other buddy behind me. I'm on my longboard. It was more of a cruise. I don't know if it's actually a longboard, but I'm holding on to my buddy's car while my other buddy's behind me. And I'm in traffic and I'm in the road and we're going like probably like 30, 35 miles an hour. And I'm like juggling between these cars. And next thing I see, this cop's pulling out, puts his lights on. The cars get out of the way, but he keeps going and he pushes me right off the road. And it was the first time I ever got pulled over, like on a skateboard on the street. This cop was so mad. So get this.
Do we know his name?
We don't.
Can we put him on blast?
I wish I'd have to look it up. You got the
We
court
could look
records. Anywho, so this cop was a total dick, and he wrote me as if I was on a moped. My ticket said moped rider clinging to motor vehicles. So I took it to court. I fought it because I'm like, there's no way. This is not going to work. They played the video in court when I went in with my mom. I'm like 15 at the time. And the judge looks at me and says, "You're lucky they didn't throw your ass in jail." He says, "You're lucky they didn't take you to jail." I said, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "You're endangering citizens. You're endangering yourself. Like, this is a terrible example for the community. It's busy." And like basically made it out like I'm a criminal for riding a skateboard. And so what ended up coming out of it was, even though I didn't even have a driver's license at the time, I got like 4 points on my non-existent driver's license. I had to go to a class to get these points taken off before I even had a license. How does that even work?
Well, you know what you didn't do?
What didn't I do?
Hire the skateboard lawyer.
Well, I didn't know you that. Now you're my first call whenever I get in trouble. But at the time, I'm like,
no, it sounds
I was so confident too.
No, that's a bad case. That was a bad ruling, and that's why we have appeals.
Yeah. I mean, going into court, I was like, I'm going to do this. The cop came up to me beforehand. He's like, "We have the tape. Are you sure you want to do this?" I'm like, "Yes, I want to do this. Like, you're not getting away with this."
Oh, I would have loved. We should probably pull the transcript of the hearing.
It was humbling to say the least.
Yeah, you got screwed. Hey, I'm not saying the law is perfect.
Yeah, I'm not. I think
I'm
it's
not
just
here to tell you that I'm not an anti-cop guy. I'm not really an anti-law guy. I'm somewhere in the middle.
I'd like to put on the record, I'm not anti-cop at all. I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for our safe communities that the police officers
Yeah.
hold
Hey,
down.
I need police officers to keep arresting my future clients. So
Yeah.
there needs to be law and order. That doesn't mean we can't fight for you after it all goes down. But no, you kind of got screwed.
Yeah.
And I don't even, it's like, what is the law? I don't know. I feel like if anything, maybe impeding traffic, but that's not a crime. That's only a ticket.
See, then that would have been fair. No, mine was like a full-blown misdemeanor.
Yeah. But you don't even, a moped, if you look at the definition of a moped under the Motor Vehicle Code, you would not qualify. Because I think when you look at it, it has to be, it talks about like a combustible engine. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you had a dumb judge, and you know what? There are plenty of dumb judges out there. So if you're a judge listening, don't be one of them. You know, sometimes you just got to call it like it is and throw a bad case. And my man got screwed, and look where we are. Now we have to sit on this podcast, talk about it, and correct the wrong.
Just let the skaters skate.
Yeah.
Just let us skate.
Let them skate. Build a skate park. We probably wouldn't have been. Well, he still had to get home, but hey.
So not only do we need a skate park, but we need laws that say you can skate on the roads. Just like bikers. If I can sit behind, you know,
A Peloton? Is that what they call it?
Jimmy Orange Pants and his whole biker kit going 16 miles an hour on Coolidge, you can sit behind me going 30 on a skateboard.
I'm with
That's
you.
it. If you could take one skateboarding rule and apply it to the courtroom, what would it be?
Don't push Mongo.
That's a good one.
One skateboarding. All right, I'll pick another. That was my cute, fun answer. My professional answer would be, what is my professional answer? One skateboarding rule. Well, we have a little mantra in our house that, like, when anything bad happens, I'll always be okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's all. For some reason, that was what came to mind. Like when you're hurt, or when things aren't going your way, or when you get your ass beat in court, just because you're not in here winning every single case. Contrary to popular opinion,
Yeah.
sometimes you take tough losses and beats. I always go back to I'll always be okay. When I fall, that's what I say. And I don't know, that maybe it doesn't even have to do with skateboarding, but that's like our little mantra
I like that.
that I like to use. And don't push Mongo, because I mean, if I
sucks.
ever see a kid pushing incorrectly, or an adult, I will tell them you should push the right way, because there is a right way and a wrong way to do things. And I guess in that is, I would hope that, and actually there were attorneys when I was a baby lawyer who would tell me kind of the right way and the wrong way to do things, and you follow around people and you learn. So if you see somebody who you think you can help, and it's coming from a good place, I guess help them, teach them, don't push Mongo. And for those of you who don't know, pushing Mongo is when you push with the front foot. And just to set the record straight, if you're pushing Mongo switch, it's still not okay. I know
agree.
they used to do that in old skateboard videos, but I think a well-rounded skateboarder will push the right way in both directions. So
You're not Josh Kalis.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
He can get away with it. He's Josh Kalis.
I'm just saying, this is a personal opinion. You might disagree with me. This is my freedom of expression, my freedom of speech. You can have yours. We don't have to be enemies. Just push with the right foot.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
I
if
don't
you
care who you are, we can all learn. We can all figure it out. That's all I'm saying.
If you need practice too, a good way to practice pushing switch, or pushing regular switch, I should say, is when you go uphill, pushing that way. Because when you're uphill and you're standing on the top of your board like that, physics are a little more natural. They're in your favor. Your weight is towards the front of your board. It's going to be an easier push because a lot of the weight is going to be on that front foot. So I'm just saying, that's how I learned to push perfectly in both directions.
That's why you do lessons.
Good options too. Yeah, good option too. Come take a skateboard lesson with your boy. All right, last question, Jordan. I'm so excited to have you here, and I wanted to get your opinion on this one. So, if you had to, I wrote this down. I want to read it verbatim because this is important to me. If you had to either defend yourself in court with zero legal experience, or kickflip a 10 stair with zero skating experience and avoid going to jail, which one are you choosing and why? It's tough, I know.
I'd choose court.
You choose court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you can BS it a little easier?
Because, this is a great question. The system, the judicial system, and they read this in every single trial. It's so fundamental. The person accused of a crime doesn't have to do anything because of the presumption of innocence. So, if you're going to try and practice law and represent yourself, and I should say, quote, a man who represents themselves has a fool for a lawyer, first of all. But if you're going to do it, you could literally sit at the table and say nothing the entire trial. You could sit there and represent yourself. The judge could call you, and you could remain silent throughout the whole case. And at some point, they'd set it for a trial, and you could sit there and ask no questions and do absolutely nothing. And at the end of the case, you could just get up there and say, they didn't prove it, and sit back down. And you would be technically a very skilled lawyer. Now, not going to say you're going to win, but you don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of the system, and that's what you have to explain to these juries in the beginning of every trial, that I could sit there and draw the whole entire trial, ask no questions, call no witnesses, and that's fine. I'm still, under the law, being an effective attorney because we have to do nothing, and you could do nothing too and win. It is possible. Now, kick flipping a 10 stair, you'll never just do it. It's impossible. Yeah. I would say it. You can't just, it's too many things. So that's my answer. I'm sticking to it. Drink and drive, I'm your guy.
Wait, one more time in that camera.
Drink and drive, I'm your guy. Lie, cheat, or steal, we'll get you a deal. And when in doubt, give us a shout.
Zupac Law.
It's been an honor and a privilege.
The #1 lawyer in town, the only person that I ever call whenever I get in trouble. Not only the only person, the first person I call. You know about my tickets before my mom does. Whenever I get them, I screenshot them instantly. I send them to
Don't call
you.
your mom, call me.
I keep one of your business cards in my wallet in case shit ever hits the fan. You're one of the greatest people I know. Jordan.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Do I give a CHOFF testimonial now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do a CHOFF testimonial. I think this podcast really gets to the heart of the issues.
We're done here.
It cuts deep. If you want to really learn, you got to listen to the CHOFF. Learn about people's inner demons, things that you never would have known. This is where you got to be. Random facts. We check all of our facts. We have AI running the entire show, so everything you listen to is exact truth with a capital T. And that's all because of you.
It's all because of us.
You might want to fact check half the things I say on this show. No, it's been an honor. Cheers, everyone. Oh, wait. You didn't ask, what are you drinking?
Oh,
ask.
Truly, it's because I don't care, but what are you drinking?
No. It's important.
What are you drinking?
I am actually not drinking alcohol because as of yesterday, it's been 1 whole year with no alcohol.
Let's go! Bro.
But what I always drink and what I think everybody should be addicted to because it's the best is a good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's a good cup of coffee.
Is this good?
Well, that's at this point, it's just kind of cold. But
doesn't smell good.
A true, well, yeah, because these cups never smell good.
That's true.
These cups suck. And whoever makes these cups, they should be ceramic because I like to feel the heat of my coffee. I'm not leading by example right here. I'm leading by I made a cup of coffee so it would stay warm so I could do this.
Yeti, if you're listening, I don't stand by anything he's saying. We would love to have you as a sponsor of the show.
No,
and if anyone else wants to sponsor the show too, reach out. We're currently sponsored by Shoebox, but we've got room for more, as you can see.
Yeah, accepting. And I will negotiate the contracts. So you better come in hot with a really good, like we want product, we want cash, we want it all.
All right, Jordan, let's go skate.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
CHOFF. Yup, it's the CHOFF. CHOFF.